Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, folks. Michael Zuber, one rental at a time. And something you will see different on this channel is we talk to real people trying to do real things to get on the property ladder. Today's example, we have Nohi, or sometimes called Kyle. Nohi. God, I knew I was going to get nervous and mess that up. I'm just going to say Kyle because my brain is just going too fast. Kyle, he is a part of my course. He is down in San Diego. He's looking at potentially house hacking a fourplex, perhaps using FHA, perhaps VA, ADUs, doing lots of amazing stuff. And we have him working with Matt, the mortgage guy, to see what he qualifies, all of that stuff. Kyle, welcome to the show. And please correctly pronunciate your first name because I screwed it up.
It's my Hawaiian name and it's Nohea.
Nohea. See, I could say it after you, but then when my brain starts moving, it goes too fast and I mess it up. So I apologize.
No problem.
Yeah, it's like no hair with a little accent. No hair. That's
yeah. All right, I'll try again, but I know I'm gonna get nervous. So Nohea, do me a favor, kind of tell people where you're at in this undertaking. What have you been doing? I know you've been doing the work for a year, so just give us color on everything that you're doing, and then we'll break down what the point of this call is.
Perfect. So I live in San Diego. I've been here for almost 10 years now. I signed up for your course a little over a year ago, and I've just been watching the market, stocking away funds, trying to save up for everything that's coming with the pain in the industry. So being that said, San Diego at one point was a really affordable place to live, which I regret not getting it 5 years ago. And now it's one of the most expensive places. So I'm just been tracking. I'm looking to do a fourplex using a VA loan so I can help other military people, so I can show them the path on how the process works, what they qualify for, what they can and cannot do. Yeah. Whether it's a fourplex, I really want to do hackology from Matt, 4321. Yep. That way I have 10 properties by the time I'm done and I can start giving back.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. So again, a couple of things there. When we're talking about Matt, that's the lumberjack landlord. He has this cheat code to wealth: 4321, fourplex, triplex, duplex, 10 units. When you're all done, 6, 8, 10 years. It's an amazing strategy. Matt, the mortgage guy. So VA loan, 100% loans possible for a fourplex.
correct. Yeah. And we talked a little bit offline, there's a caveat to where there's a possibility to even do a 5-unit, but it's a cool benefit of the VA, which I love, sharing real life stories so that somebody might see, oh, I was going to buy a single family and this great VA benefit, this great loan that veterans are entitled to also can work on a multi-unit, right? And so you're gonna have a place to live, and like the FHA loan, it's got to be owner occupied, so you got to live in one of the units, but you get to purchase a place that doubles as an investment property. If it's a duplex, you got one investment property and you live in one side. If it's a 3 or 4, then you've got multiple units that are being rented out. So excited to dig in and show folks this great option.
One question I have for you, Matt, because again, we did this with Joshua in Fresno. He's looking at FHA 3.5% down. We did something called the sustainability rule or self-sustainability. Does VA have a similar rule? Maybe it's called something different. I don't know.
VA does not. And,
there you go.
The VA loan is a great loan. Those that are entitled to it and have the benefit have earned it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Really attractive loan terms, right? The rate is lower in general. There's no mortgage insurance. And so,
hold on. 100% loan, house hack a fourplex, no PMI.
No PMI.
Yeah, all right.
Makes you want to go serve or something, right?
Yeah. I'm a little old. I'm past my sell by date. But yeah, if you are a veteran and this is something you have, this is even better than I thought. So Nohea, hopefully was
perfect.
Close enough. Awesome. I have no idea what fourplexes are in San Diego. San Diego, my knowledge, is a wonderful town. Love the gas lamp district. Some of my greatest memories and events were down in San Diego. But what's a fourplex? I mean, what's the range? I have no idea what fourplexes are in San Diego.
So the ironic part with San Diego is not as many fourplexes as you would think. On average, I'm looking anywhere from 30 to 50 fourplexes on the market, but that's also including triplexes and duplexes looking at the MLS.
Okay.
The range is averaging anywhere from 850 all the way up to 3+ million.
Woo.
It just depends.
Damn, San Diego.
The highest I'd go up to is about 2. So I kind of cut off my
Okay.
search at 2 million, but that was when I was at a 3.1% interest rate. So now that it's changed, it's different.
Sure.
The one thing I do want to point out is using your spreadsheet. I've been trying to figure out the calculation because with VA it's 0 down, right? So it changes my yields completely different as when I put in 25% down to 0 down. From there, you have to kind of increase the rents that you would actually receive to qualify to make sure that you can make your payments.
Yeah, of
so
course.
that was one of the hardest parts adjusting. But listening to Dion, he always said he put in his numbers as if he put it in there. So I've been trying to figure out how that would work, because most people, if they're getting a fourplex, they're not going to be able to put 25% down as an investor.
Yeah, what I would probably do in this example is, and again, if you're in my course, you know what he's talking about. One of the things we're trying to figure out is the denominator, right? How much cash out of pocket does it take to secure this asset? Typically speaking, that's closing costs, down payment, and what I call make ready, right? What do I have to do to this unit? If you're in an environment where perhaps you're buying something turnkey, there's no make ready. If you're getting a VA loan 100% down, there's no down payment. And then, oh, by the way, you can get the seller to cover closing costs. So you really can get into a fourplex theoretically with no money down and a VA loan. That would blow up my spreadsheet, because as long as you have $1 of positive cash flow, that's an infinite return. So I understand the confusion. So first and foremost, don't go negative, right? Because getting into a deal for 0 down, but still produces negative cash flow is no bueno, not good. It's not something I approve. I don't bet on appreciation, none of that stuff. But kind of thinking this out in real time, I would, instead of assuming 20% down, given that you're going to house hack, I would probably assume 3.5% down, right? I would probably go to the FHA limit. That way you get a basis. Because I agree with you, putting in 25% down is not practical, and it just gets wacky numbers. But I think if you go to the FHA 3.5% down, that's enough skin in the game, and it won't impact the payment kind of as much. But that's probably where my brain goes. I would probably use that number. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Absolutely. So again, let's just call it 850 to a couple $1 million, just so I get the other side of the equation. What are rents in San Diego? Again, I have no idea.
Wow. So that's another problem I'm facing. A lot of the fourplexes already have tenants that are long-term, and the rents are extremely low. I've seen it as low as $1,200. But then when I do my research and I search around, rents can go all the way up to 28 to 3,800, depending on how many bedrooms and baths are inside the fourplex. And location, of course.
Yeah. So there's a couple of things. This is really important given the bigger conversation that we want to have here. So I would love to buy a fourplex in your situation where rents are under market. Because in the environment we are going to, and I would argue that we are in, sellers won't be able to sell on futures. The last 2 years, somebody could tell a new investor, oh, I know my rents are $1,200, but they should be $2,500. And the new investors will come in and just give them the price like $2,500. That day's over.
Oh, wow.
Minimum, you could use that talk track to get seller financing, right? You talked about 50, 40, 10 as an example. Something that since you follow my channel, I'm trying to do is I'm trying to buy Park Place in my market, which is something really crazy, because I think I can get seller financing at great terms. So these are just all levers that I think people around the country need to be understanding. Landlords who are selling properties today don't have the same luxury as a year ago selling on futures. A year ago in San Diego, you could have been a landlord, throw up a dumpy property that's under market. Say it produces 4,000, it should produce 10, and pretend like you're getting 10 grand. It's not today. So use that as a negotiating factor, in my opinion.
Can I ask you a question?
That's why you're here.
Perfect. So now, with that being said, the asking price for the unit, say, we'll just use a round number, $1 million. But then when you do the rent, it's only worth $750, where you'll be positive. Would you still go ahead and throw that number out, even though it's such a drastic
Oh,
Num-
so if it's a first day listing, no. If it's been on the market 100 days, you bet your ass I would.
Perfect.
Absolutely. Because there's a lot of people that have to sell. And again, really what I would do, like so again, first day listings don't bother, right? It hasn't aged. But if it's out there 100 days, I would actually go to the listing agent or have your agent and you go to the listing agent with your numbers and go, hey, let's just have a conversation. You and I both know this piece of junk's not worth $1 million. Given existing rents, I can show you, I think it's worth 750. I think we can all agree the real value is somewhere in between this. But here's the deal, folks. I need to be able to cash flow this thing the day I close. So how are we going to do that? Some of that's going to be a lower price. Some of that could be owner carry. I don't know where we're at, but if you want to sell this thing, agent is going to get an expired listing soon. And the seller, I'm your boy. I'm your huckleberry. I'm a veteran. I'm going to get this deal done. But we've got to meet in the middle somewhere. It ain't $1 million, and you're probably not going to give me 750. But let's have an adult conversation. That's probably what I would try to do. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. I like it.
Awesome. Well, Matt, I know your team has been awesome. They've worked with Nohi. See, I messed it up again. Nohea. Sorry, I apologize. Nohea on some kind of numbers. You want to share what you're pulling together, and we'll see where we go from here.
Sure. Yeah, we've got a couple scenarios, and I was just poking around. I pay for Rentometer to get, rent data. And I was just curious, 92111 in San Diego, because I'm up in Northern California like you, and know that San Diego is relatively pricey. I know we've closed some single families there. My team has, but it adds some context, right? When some people see this, they might be like, oh my gosh, a $7,200 mortgage payment if you're buying $1 million place. But if each unit rents for $2,800 in an area, then that mortgage payment doesn't look as daunting, right?
Okay.
So you can see my screen, right?
We can.
Yes.
Good.
Yeah. And I think you know, hey,
The first thing I noticed is 5.99. That's
I
the
did
first thing I
too.
noticed.
Yeah, and
all my calculations have been 8.
Look at that. Exactly. That's not bad news.
right. Yeah. Yeah.
Better than I
Thanks.
expected.
Thanks for your service. And what we generally do, and anybody who works with us knows this, like we'll show you the rate, the 6.422 with 0 points, but we're also going to show you, for 3/4 of a point, if you can get 599 and on this size loan, it saves you $300 a month. To your point, Mike, we're in a market where, you're not, out of line telling the seller, hey, listen, I got to make this thing work as an investment. I can't pay this price and I can't do a 6.5% or higher interest rate. I'm going to need some help. $7,500 isn't a lot when you're talking about $1 million property, but by being able to buy the rate down to 599, have an all-in payment, taxes, insurance, everything included for 7,245 is something that's feasible and literally like is happening every single day. We've got investor clients getting into contract, getting seller credits. Maybe it's this 7,500. Maybe it's this all-in number at the bottom, which is 20,000 when you factor in prepaying property taxes, escrow fees, and everything else. And like we talked about, then you'd be into it with 0 out of pocket, right? And so what we put together, and Nohea's got this in his email, and I think Michelle even did a video to kind of walk through it, is $1 million with the par interest rate and a buy down option, $1.2 million, same thing, 6.2 if we don't pay any points, and 5.875 if we get the seller to chip in and pay about a point to buy that down. So this gives us some information on the payment side. And then Nohea,
I have a couple questions because I do not qualify for a VA loan. So these are just questions I've never been able to ask before. What is the limit of points that you can bring? Like, is it like FHA where 3 points is the most you can have seller credit, or what's the seller credit limit?
VA's got a funky one. And I love you put me on the spot, Mike, because I record a video, and then like this video I recorded was literally like less than a month old. And there's a caveat where it's 3% plus this, where in all actuality, I think you can get like 4 or 5% in total credit.
So let's just call it 3% for easy math.
Yeah, which like, let's be honest, like it's going to be hard to get 3%, but I know you can go higher. And so I would say a point or two in rate buy down plus all the closing costs.
Yeah, I mean, on $1 million loan, just so people realize, that's 30 grand in potential owner contribution, if I understand this correctly.
Right. And this $1 million one in box C, you know, the all-in cost is less than 21 with the rate buy down and all the closing costs included. So
just a real quick question again, because I'm learning as well. You could get, I mean, can you scroll down the closing costs for me?
Sure.
Sorry. So I just want, like, okay. I got it. Okay.
yeah. And I mean, I think it's really cool.
All right, got it.
Like, even though these prepaids are considered closing costs on a mortgage, like this is funding your escrow account. It's going to pay
Absolutely.
your tax and insurance in the future, and the seller can pay that, right? And so
That's crazy. That's amazing.
Another thing about this market that is really cool is when, you know, you're getting your price and the seller's buying your interest rate down, prepaying your taxes and insurance, and all kinds of stuff. I like it.
And Matt, I just wanted to make sure on the rent collected, you guys only account for 75%, correct? Not the full 100% rent collected.
Right. When we're talking about, you know, what we can use to help qualify you. And so, yeah, that goes into the calculation, income plus expected rents, basically times that 0.75 multiplier.
Got it.
So really in this example, the only money he would need to bring to the table is going to be appraisal, because I didn't see that in closing costs. Inspections, you should obviously do inspections.
Yep.
So we're talking, I don't know, $3,000 kind of to the table to get this done. Extra cost, Matt, maybe
an appraisal on a fourplex might be $1,000, and then inspection.
Yeah, I'm just trying to round it to something.
Yeah,
right.
12 or 1,500. So yeah, like, you know, as a conservative or high estimate, even 3,000. We actually have this appraisal fee in.
Oh, it
here,
is there. I was looking for that.
But you're correct that it's paid up front. So
Got
this we do it like this because then somebody gets their initial disclosure. So they're like, why is the appraisal listed? Like, well, it's listed there. You pay it up front. It comes off by the time you see your final disclosure. We just.
But yeah, we're talking about a $1 million loan, $1 million property. You're going to have some out of pocket expense. I just wanted to be clear on that. Yep. Okay, cool.
Mm-hmm.
So Nohea, what do you think of all this? Any questions? Because this really is for you. Obviously, as a veteran, this is something you have at your disposal.
No, I love it. The numbers are a lot better than my numbers on my spreadsheet.
That helps, right? 3 points or 2 points? 2 points better?
2 points down. And I believe you don't have the PMI included or the property taxes. So I believe it's another $1,200 on the monthly payment, because that's just the mortgage payment, correct, Matt?
No, we've got taxes on here. So
yeah, row 18, row 19.
Yeah, taxes are at 1 1/4, which most parts of California are all gonna be 1 1/4. And then, you know, we've got a factor in here to factor in 2,500-ish in homeowners. So the 7245 is the all-in payment.
Okay, it is all. Oh,
yeah.
Perfect. No, that looks amazing. I've actually reached out to one of the other students, Nathan. He did one of your presentations on your first Zoom meeting.
Yeah, I know Nathan.
Students. Yeah, so I reached out to him, so maybe I can work with him and some of the other agents that are in San Diego.
I think Nathan is in San Diego.
He is. I've reached out to him once before.
Yeah, Nathan and his wife. I'm missing her name. Damn it.
It's all right, Mike. We all get old.
Yeah, dude, I am just not sharp today. But yeah, so this is awesome. I think you have a lot of possibilities. Again, doing this video obviously will try to help you, but hopefully it inspires other veterans to think what is possible. House hack a fourplex, cheat code to wealth, get on the property ladder. So again, in the market we're going into, get the landlord to get right about price, especially under rent, as we talked about, that 100 days on market. Obviously get them to contribute up to the limit, 3,000 in closing closing cost credits, however you can use that, might as well. I think there's a lot of things that make this exciting. And again, don't rush, do the work with an agent like Nathan to really make sure what's possible. I know you're looking at other things. You're coming to the event on the 12th and the 19th. Thank you for that. Let's talk about ADUs, because I know you're starting to do some work on that. Why don't you just get those questions as well?
So ADUs, I've been researching it since the beginning of the pandemic. I have a lot where I could build 2 ADUs on it. I've monitored 2 of my friends. One of them still hasn't even put his house down. I've been following you with all the cost and everything. The way they said it was going to make it easier in California to build, not even close. The permitting is ridiculous. I've had contractors come out. I've had people landscape, and then I am on a slope, so that added another element to it. Yes. So it'd have to be leveled out, or I have to pay $20,000 to add dirt to level it out.
Wow.
There's
Love California. Yep.
Yeah. So there's a whole bunch of things that it's been frustrating. Eventually, I want to do it. I want to go the path of least resistance. So ADUs didn't work, so I kind of moved on.
Yeah, I have a perfect lot, flat. I've finally got approval for the design, the architectural design, which took forever. Then out of nowhere, again, this is just gory details. I sometimes move faster than I should have researched this. I did. This is 100% pain. All Mike Zuber caused. This is all my fault. I don't want to hear from any. It's all bad. So we get done and I think we're done. And then suddenly they go, well, you have to have solar. I'm like, solar, it's a 600 square foot. Why the hell am I going to add solar to that for? Like California law, good old, hey, if you're going to do a new construction, any new build. I'm like, what? So I go get a solar quote. I don't know. It's like 20 grand or something, 22 grand, so whatever it was. And I'm like, I got to add 20, which is like 20% of the cost of building a 600 square foot unit. I got to add for no value. I get no rent value out of it. Drives me insane. Then I go, okay, might as well go for it. Now they're making me go back through permitting. I got to change the design because I have freaking put solar on the roof. I'm like, you jackasses just don't want me to build. And oh, by the way, I've got 15 or 20 lots I could do this on. I will not be doing this a second time because you guys suck.
And
I'm not even sure I'll do it once.
What it's called. Buddy of mine, he's got a fee. It was like $20,000. I think it goes to like schools and all. I forgot the name of it.
Yeah, I don't know.
You
So this may not happen. I haven't. Every time I decide to do it, just because I'm already here, they hit me with something else.
And
so
also,
I'm going to say no. Yeah. So, anyways, at least in Fresno, fire sprinklers, as of right now, it might change. If the existing structure doesn't have it, I don't have to add it. As of right now, that could change. But thankfully, I believe that's true, at least in my county. That's a county by county specific. So that was a question that ADUs had. Any other question you have? You're in the course. Question of Matt, since he's here for us.
So Matt, I did have a question from my mom. I seen one of your videos. You said that I could also do an investment, buy a property for my mom in Hawaii, and then it would just be a normal loan. Is that correct?
Right. It's a really cool thing. And I made the video on it, hoping that people would see it and understand that you can buy something for a family member or for a parent that qualifies primary residence guidelines, right? 5% down and the better rate. And really, like, the qualifying is so simple, where you're like, parent cannot qualify on their own. Here's a social security statement or a tax return or whatever it is. I've done a half dozen of these. And so, yeah, I'm happy to talk about that specific scenario.
Does she have to be retired, or does just as long as she doesn't qualify?
No, the guideline is pretty gray area, where it just says, a parent who's unable to qualify on their own, basically buy it on their behalf. So that's really cool. I personally did that for my mother-in-law. And it was,
nice.
it was cool, got great terms on a house for her. So yeah, that's a fun one. Before I forget, I just wanted to highlight this for people. Like, Nohea is doing the work, right? And like, it's going to help in a couple different ways. One, negotiations with sellers. When you know your stuff, you're able to communicate that. And sometimes, truth be told, you know, you've got to get that across to the agent on the sell side to communicate it to the seller. And then the agent says, hey, listen, Mr. or Mrs. Seller, we haven't been selling, and here's probably why. They told me this about rents. They told me this about prices. They told me about this about the market. And it's like a coaching thing to where, like, now we get to a price and terms that everyone agrees on. But if Nohea doesn't do the work, doesn't have the information to provide, it might not get done. And so, like, doing the work is going to help you in your negotiations. And then also, what I really like about what you're doing is you're looking at multiple different things. Offline, you said, hey, I'm talking to these guys over here about the 50-40-10. You know, there's not just one plan where if that plan doesn't work out, you know, it's game over. Looked at the ADU stuff, that might be more of a pain than it's worth.
Yeah, no.
On to the next thing, right? And then you're looking at that. And so, you know, investors who give up is generally they're not doing the work and they only have one idea or one plan. And if that doesn't work, then they're out, right? You're the opposite of that. So I want to commend you for that and just say, like, this is an example of somebody who's doing the work that I'm absolutely sure a decade from now is going to have real estate investments, right? Versus some people I talk to, I'm like, I don't know if this person will ever do anything, right? They're not doing the work. They just saw one video and it said, real estate's a great way to build wealth. They put in 9 minutes. Yeah, 9 minutes of work. I didn't get rich. What happened?
Yeah, real estate sucks. Yeah.
So question from both of you. If I do have a seller who has 50% or more equity in his loan, do you guys recommend the 10-40 or the 50-40-10, 40-year mortgage, sub 2?
Well, yeah. So I don't think sub 2 is going to work with a 50-40-10. Well, actually, I'll tie this back to how we started. Can a VA, does VA allow seconds, Matt?
Well, no, this wouldn't be from the VA. This would have to be individually on my own.
No, I understand, but I'm trying to learn.
Yeah,
okay.
remind me too, because I don't dabble in that world where it's the seller is carrying a certain percentage. And
yeah,
then
40%. The seller.
Okay.
So 50-40-10, the second is the seller at 40.
Okay. Yeah. I don't think that you can slap that behind a VA loan. I think it would have to be a conventional loan, which, you know, it's a qualifying thing, you know. No, hey, I know you would, others maybe would or wouldn't qualify for that 50% first, but you know, it's doable. I without looking at it, I think that it would have to be conventional. I don't think the other loan products would qualify.
So are you talking about stacking? So I'd have my current mortgage, my VA loan, and then stacking a 50-40, which may not qualify. Is that what you're saying?
No. What I was trying to do was learn. So I was trying to learn. So let's just catch everybody up. The 50-40-10 is a loan structure that I created on the fly with Velocity Mortgage, because what Velocity Mortgage offers is something called a 90% combined loan to value, which means you can get into a deal for 10% down. But there are two parties involved. There is, in this case, Velocity Mortgage for the first. That's going to be a high rate. That will not be 5.99. That will be 8.25, 8.5, something. 40 is the seller. The beauty of the 50-40-10, if you do it correctly, is you can get the 40% at, say, 1 or 2% interest. Thus, your combined loan to value is in the 5s, maybe in the 4s. That's what makes this sexy. And then obviously 10% down. I was trying to figure out by asking Matt, does VA allow a second? They don't, so that's off the table. VA's not.
Oh, using the V, got you.
Yeah. What Matt is telling you, or telling us, is he has conventional loan products for house hackers like yourself that could potentially work. Why is that important? Well, conventional loans won't have non-QM rates. So if you come in with Matt and he finds a loan product that works, instead of getting 8.5 non-QM, you might get 6 3/4. I would tell you to get the cheaper rate. Thus, you get 6 3/4 with Matt because it's a house hack. He can do those. Then the 40 is, 2%. Then your blended rate's certainly in the 4s.
Right.
So the key is VA doesn't do seconds, so that's off the table. You'd have to come in conventional. Matt can help with conventional. He's going to have to find a provider that does 90%. That's the beauty. 90% combined loan to value. Now on to Convoy. I've asked Convoy It is certainly may have changed, but they don't do currently 90% combined loan to value, 30 or 40-year product. So until they change that, that is not an offering that they have. So
Right.
that's
Jonathan
kind
he only offered the 40-year mortgage.
correct. He only does 40-year mortgage. Right. So that's why they're a part
Yeah,
of my
which is not non-QM product. Yeah.
correct non-QM 40-year. So I have these three lenders on my channel on purpose. Matt, the mortgage guy, conventional, FHA, the man. Convoy, 40-year product. Stephen Dow, 50, 40, 10, 90% combined loan to value. Stephen doesn't do 40-year mortgages. Convoy doesn't do 90% CLTV. Matt's the conventional wizard, best rates, best terms, homeowners. Make sense? How they all tie together?
On Stephen Dow, when you guys talked about the 50, 40, 10, he said something where not to reach out to him for certain types of property. I didn't understand what he was trying to say when he.
So he doesn't like certain type, like if you're in a small town, he doesn't like, he only like, I think he only lends in like 46 of the 50 states. He doesn't lend in small towns under 50,000 people, right? There's certain caveats. That's why people have to call him and say, hey, can you do my deal? Like he doesn't do funeral homes, for example. I remember him telling me one time, doesn't do bowling alleys. I mean, there's certain caveats, right? So there's just, other than that, he plays. So
Yeah. Yeah. And I think too, it's, you've got a lot of work done in different areas, looking at like, okay, what would rents be if I bought the fourplex VA? Sometimes like there's endless possibilities.
Right.
So people get too wide or they go too deep on like, you could be an absolute master at 50, 40, 10 and that loan structure. But then the reality of it is only 1 in 1,000 properties is going to actually have a seller that's willing and able to do something like that.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, I think that over these next 6 months, you talked about blood in the streets, opportunity, however you want to spin it. Like there's going to be a lot of opportunity where I personally think you don't have to like, necessarily look for like some crazy 1 in a million scenario. There's going to be scenarios on every corner where negotiation wise, you're going to be able to make a deal work, whether that's VA or conventional or something.
I forgot the biggest question I do need to ask you is if the VA does do the 5 units, does that still keep it? Does that not turn it to commercial loan? Does it still?
No, it's still a VA loan. Yeah, they're still backing it.
residential. They don't do
yeah.
commercial.
Yeah.
Correct. But that's what I was afraid, because once you go to 5, anything over 4, it's automatically considered commercial.
Not in VA's terms. So one thing to think about though is if you were going to refi out the
Mhm.
VA loan at some time in the future, you would be refining into a commercial loan.
Oh, okay. That's a big thing I didn't think about. That makes, because I do want to get out of it eventually. So that would be, okay.
You'd
that
be
makes
into a
sense.
conventional, yeah. Or I'm sorry, you'd be into
Commercial.
Every time I have great conversations, I have notes of stuff I got to go learn. So I'll get the exact rule on the 5 unit, what the caveat is for doing the 5 unit. And then, yeah, I got some other notes here for some stuff I'm going to look into too. I'm like a doctor. Come in and give me all your symptoms and I'll research and I'll put notes in the system, how to fix you.
Well, no, hey, one thing I'd love to do kind of maybe in 30 or 60 days is maybe do a phone call with you or a Zoom call with you and Nathan as the agent, just to say, hey, what'd you guys find? What's going on? Maybe talk about negotiations. We can talk about how I would pitch those and see where we're at. Does that make sense as the next step?
Yeah, I still haven't heard back from Nathan. So let me make sure that he's up to it first. And then from there, definitely.
Do you have Nathan's email or do you?
I have his phone number. I've texted him previously, but
right.
I had my wedding and we just got back. So I kind of went MIA 2 months on him. So now I'm trying to reach back to him.
All right. Send him a note. I think I have his email. I might ping him as well saying, hey, I'd love you to help this guy and come back on the channel in 60 days, look at inventory and stuff. So again, the whole idea is to help you, but I want to inspire others around the country to realize the power in the VA loan, the power of house hacking, the power of 4321. Again, Matt, I want to thank you and your team for going out of the way to do the scenarios. Nohea, thank you for reaching out to me. We're here for you. We're here to help. Let us know if you have questions. Any closing thoughts, Nohea?
No, I just want to say thank you. I really appreciate everything you do. You made a huge difference in me and my wife's lives. We're ready for what's to come and, trying to build our network, getting rid of all the negativity, staying positive. Even though it's been tough in San Diego, we keep a positive mindset, we keep moving forward, and we keep going, because eventually it's going to happen. It's just a matter of time.
I love that. And Matt, closing thoughts?
Not much, but no, hey, feel free to reach out. I know that, Michelle just sent the stuff over, so you've got a video to review and the scenarios, but, reach out to me, Michelle, and the team. We're happy to chat anything, as stuff presents itself. I'm sure more questions will come up. Just say, hey, what about this if we did that? And yeah, I love living vicariously through buyers. Might have a small 14 unit portfolio of my own, but I feel like I've got 5,000 units because I've been a part of so many deals.
Awesome, folks. Thank you for watching. Again, if you are a veteran, VA program is awesome. It's even better than I could have imagined. What we just went through as examples. Matt, if somebody wanted to reach out to you and see what their scenario would be, how do you want them to reach out?
Just go to greatmortgagebroker.com. I promise you, we're going to reach out within 24 hours. And I make that promise knowing that I just absolutely
Put your team on the spot.
Well, I ripped to shreds lead intake because it's not perfect. Right. And so yeah, every once in a while, something falls through the cracks and then I have to scream in a kind and loving way, but greatmortgagebroker.com.
Scream in a kind.
Yeah. For everyone's benefit. It's constructive criticism.
There you go. Well, guys, thank you very much for doing this. Nohey, I look forward to getting back together again in maybe 30 or 60 days. Take care.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.